years, the Dolores Huerta Day of Service Learning has been an opportunity for students to engage in a beautiful outdoor environment where they can participate in hands-on activities and learn about the incredible, life-changing work of Dolores Huerta, César Chávez, and the farm workers movement.
Today we're commemorating the César Chávez and Dolores Huerta legacy. Woo! We're celebrating campesinos as well. We're celebrating people that works in the land, people that take care of the livestock.
My name is Joe Garcia and I work at the historic Sanchez Farm. I just wanted to share a little bit about how the Day of Service started. We used to line up at the Sanchez Farm for the César Chávez March and celebration. We started to have activities and we started asking people to bring tools, and we became like an overflow of people wanting to be part of the community and learning projects that people can help out with and learn at the same time. So it involved families and then it started involving schools, and then it just continued to grow since then. Social justice and ecological justice and everything else that goes on as far as the learning stations go at Sanchez Farm for the Dolores Huerta Day of Service is the most important learning that you can possibly know in your life, but yet it's not very easily learned. So that's why we intentionally design the stations to bring together these kinds of learning, these kinds of teachings for the students, and then they can integrate that back into their classrooms, take it back into their communities, and their families, and apply it in their life.
Well, I remember back in the day, Albino Garcia, the maestro and leader of La Placita Institute, came to the comite and was like, we need to do something to actually support the local farms as a part of the big marcha, and celebration. First day of service, I remember we encouraged people to bring their pala before the march and meet at the historic Sanchez Farms at La Placita Gardens. And we had people out there working in the medicine wheel, and it was just amazing. And then we marched with our palas. The real special, I think, integral element is the blessing, right? Because Bino has always been adamant about that being an important part of the day of service, is to start with a cultural blessing. And just hearing reflections from participants and kids and teachers and people that have been a part of it, that blessing is really some of the main part of the day of service, right? That we all come together, all of our energies focused, right? We're all giving thanks for Mother Earth, for each other, for the hard work. And essentially it grounds everybody and focuses everybody for the big day at hand.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yani washte. That means good morning.
Good morning.
Ihane washte. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time. Oh no, that's okay. My name is Albino. Costa Cuautli. Costa means color. Cuautli means eagle. Costa Cuautli together means condor. Close enough. I'm going to do a little prayer for everybody real quick to keep us safe today.
Then we go back out and we do all these farm work activities, planting seeds, planting trees, making compost, doing worms, making Si Se Puede flags, and whatever the activity might be, that those kids get to rotate and experience, a couple workshops or activities related to sustainable agriculture. The kids come together. We always shout out which school you're from to build school spirit and pride, right? Of is this elementary school here? Is this school here? What's up with Barelas? And, where's Pajarito at? And just get the kids pumped for the day, in that spirit, we really kind of came together and the Day of Service was born. You know, we thought, what better way than to invite students in our public school system to come to a local farm and be a part of a Day of Service celebration, right? So the Day of Service learning, a day of experiential education, a day of honoring the legacy of César Chávez and Dolores Huerta and all of our Filipino family and farm workers, and just celebrate it all, right? The Si Puede movement, the movimiento. You know, it's been an honor the last couple years. I think we've gotten spoiled, but Dolores has actually honored us with her presence. And the kids, you know, I just tell you, I would teach them about all this curriculum and all this history and stuff, and they'd see Dolores on videos and on YouTube and whatnot. And then to see her in person, you know, to see this amazing maestra, abuela, you know, in person, there's something magical about that. I think that's a special thing, to empower young people to know that their voice matters, right? What they say is important. And I think that's been a special component of the Day of Service, and that concept of service learning, right? That education isn't just about being in a four-walled classroom, right? Education happens out here in Mother Earth. Education happens when we're talking about social justice issues and we're fighting for what's right. Education really is much bigger than what school is nowadays. You know, I think there is a difference between schooling and education, right? And if we're going to do education, we need to get our young people out into local farms. We need to teach our young people about social justice movements, about La Causa, about our cultural history, right? About the Chicano movement, about cultures coming together to support justice and equity, right? Like, those are the things that are being left out right now, and those are the things we're fighting for, and those are the things that the Day of Service really puts up. Kind of honoring the legacy of César Chávez and Dolores Huerta and farm workers everywhere, that we're thinking about you, we're carrying on this legacy, and we're going to keep it going, you know?
I wanted to share this with you because I know that we are in a really crucial time right now. When we started organizing the farm workers, people would say to us, how are you going to organize the workers? No tienen papeles, right? They're not citizens. They don't speak English. They don't have any money. They don't have a formal education. How are you going to organize them? Well, you know what we told the workers? You have power. You have power. The power is in your person. And this is all the power that you need. But with all the benefits, you're not doing it by yourself. You gotta come together.
One of my favorite parts in volunteering for the Day of Service is going to the students' classrooms before they come out for the field trip and telling them the story of the farm worker movement, the story of who César Chávez and Dolores Huerta are, and teaching them vocab words like migrant farm worker, boycott, huelga, and labor union.
Farm workers were not only making less than minimum wage, but they also had lack of access to toilets. They were being exposed to harsh pesticides and many other things that they were facing on the fields.
Roars began to beat up our people. The police began to jail our people. We were not known, and no one would come to our support. We were hungry and frightened and in need of help.
But those workers are working in conditions that are horrendous. Workers are denied just basic human rights. The right to use the restroom, as an example.
The story of organizing farm workers started long before he was born and will go on long after his death. But during his lifetime, César Chávez came to represent that struggle. He brought the farm workers' faces and stories to the American public, and in the process, helped them achieve a measure of dignity and respect. This is the story of the farm workers' movement and of the man who inspired it.
De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajarillos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el... que vemos lucir, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí, y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
take the right to strike of farm workers and the right to boycott is by then coming around and saying that they're very concerned about the rights of workers, the workers should have the right to a free election, to a secret ballot election, and these things. Well, what's really happened is that Proposition 22 really, in its opening paragraph, really says that they're really interested in what they call the uninterrupted production, packing, processing, transporting, and marketing of agricultural products.
A boycott of table grapes that began in California eventually drew 17 million supporters across the country, forcing growers to agree to some of the first farm worker contracts in history. Where there had once been despair, Cesar gave workers a reason to hope. What the growers don't know, he said, is that it's not bananas or grapes or lettuce. It's people. It's people.
Nonviolent way, we have to become civically engaged, take our responsibilities seriously, right? Make sure everybody we know becomes a citizen and that they vote. And I'm going to ask all of you, who's got the power? We got the power!
And it was about the human race. Dolores Huerta, César Chávez, Larry Itliong, and many others came together, and they worked with people from different walks of life. They collaborated with people in the community from universities, people in different neighborhoods. They collaborated with people from different races. So they not only were working together with Mexicans and Filipinos, but they also invited others who came from Japanese backgrounds, African American, Caucasian, anybody who was willing to come alongside and support their cause. Because they found that common ground, they were able to create change.
We are going to be making and recreating United Farm Worker flags, and so this is obviously a hands-on activity that students that we're going to engage and talk about, you know, the significance of the colors, you know, red and black are international colors of the strike. Hi, Wapa. And as well as the historical significance of using the Aztec eagle and incorporating that into a sense of pride that could be reflected in a union that is inclusive and was inclusive of farm workers. This is so important on multiple levels. For one, this is sometimes, students have remarked to us at this event that sometimes this is their first experience on a farm, their first time seeing where the food that they eat comes from. So in that sense, it's absolutely critical, you know, that children understand that this is how we eat, this is how we live and survive in, right, how we have for millennia. The other piece is building community, which is absolutely important, and for understanding any phase of education, learning to get along with others, to work together, and what it means for communities to kind of to collaborate and to give service and make everybody's life a little bit better.
I brought along a flag. You all must recognize it by now, the flag of the United Farm Workers. And it's a very special flag because the last time Cesar was here, on his birthday, March 31st, 1993, he spoke at the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Hall. And we bought this flag at that meeting, and César Chávez signed it for us.
His signature is on that flag.
So it's a very, very special flag.
It's special because it's a farm workers flag, and it's special because Cesar himself signed it. Isaura, I'm her husband. I belong to her. Yeah. Okay, my vision that César Chávez had, and that is to have a sustainable agriculture and to provide justice and dignity for farm workers. Now, still today, so it's not ancient history, kids 16 and 17 years old and women and men are dying from heat stroke because the owners of those farms do not provide the proper facilities for them. What the farm workers go through, and that you will support the farm worker movement as you grow and as you learn more about it.
I'm original from Loja, Ecuador, which is South America in the middle of the world. And when I came here, I came to work in the land. I came to work under the sun. I came to work taking care of alfalfa fields. And you know what? Over there in my country, I was a city boy. You know, I didn't have to face all this type of things. But let me tell you one thing, I learned so much just working in the fields. It was amazing. You know why? Because in there, I was able to value what is life.
Students get the opportunity to learn about the history of Sanchez Farm as an agricultural site, as well as its current use as a stormwater drainage facility and providing critical habitat for wildlife.
So then there's a wildlife component with the wetland. We've got the stormwater coming in, and of course we have farming. All of those different activities happen here at Sanchez Farm, and it's a very, very special place. And what cleans the oil and the dirt coming off of those streets is all the vegetation, the grasses and the trees and the bushes.
Students get to learn about conservation of our natural resources and the importance of our water.
Que vivan las acequias. You know, what an honor to be here sharing acequias with you guys and honoring our acequieros, our acequieras, and really just the history of the stewardship of water and of community and of crops. The water is life, and essentially these acequias are like veins on Mother Earth that bring life and sustenance to the land and to our fields and to farms. Capturing water and flowing water in different areas. I mean, that practice is ancient. I mean, a lot of indigenous cultures have some kind of connection to the movement of water to benefit your people and the land and environment around you. But this particular acequia system really kind of was brought to us via the Spanish. And what I was taught is even before, the Spanish learned it from the Moorish people. And the Moorish people probably maybe got a little concepts from Africa and China, ancient Asia. This particular form and the way we do it in New Mexico is 400 to 500 years old. I mean, kind of brought up with the Spanish and the indigenous people of Mexico. The acequias really are a part of New Mexican culture and a part of our landscape. Without these acequias, we would look a lot more desolate, right? If you look where acequias are, you have your own ecosystem and almost like microclimate. They create life, species. We just saw a beaver over here, the first time I've ever seen a beaver. You know, you see birds, crawdads, sapos, frogs, whatever. There's just life around it, right? And essentially that's that water is life concept. And I think what I can maybe conclude with is we all need to think about water. You know, water is not to be commodified, and water, we have a saying, el agua no se vende, el agua se defiende. So we don't sell water, we defend it. And in a day and age where we got corporations and entities that are trying to commodify everything, we got to stand up and fight for water. You know, just like we fight for farm workers and for food justice and all that. Water essentially is everything for our world. Without water, there would be no life. Water itself is life, and we are water. We're going to continue to fight for water, and these acequias are a sacred, integral element to our communities, and we hope to be stewarding them for the next 500 years.
Students get to participate in hands-on learning activities that benefit our public lands. Students plant cottonwood trees to provide shade, spread wildflower seed to provide habitat, and learn about methods to control erosion and protect the health of our soils.
In the vermiculture station, students learned about the importance of sustainability. They learned how to construct a small compost bin that they could have in their home or their classroom or their school garden. They learned about the foods and fruits that could go into it and foods that, you know, aren't really good for the compost bin. They got to play with the worms and dig in the dirt and get their fingers dirty. Now more than ever, I think we could continue day of service through projects that students could have at home or in their pods. Get together maybe on a Google or Zoom and share that information that they learned. Maybe have a mock march where everybody made some posters and shared their ideas about learning about farm workers and learning about the environment and how important it is for us to understand the legacy of Dolores Huerta and César Chávez.
When you, and I hope that you had this opportunity, but when you put a seed in the earth and you put some water, you're starting to build being responsible, and you're starting to take care of life. And that's one of the things that I hope that you learned today. If you haven't, appreciate life. Appreciate your life, because you are amazing. You are amazing. You know what? You are the future of this community.
I would encourage everyone during this time to start planting seeds and grow your own food in your backyard and wherever you can, community gardens. Create a community garden, start one. However you can, just plant seeds during this time. That's going to get us through all this. It's going to be learning from what we grow and eating what we grow and sharing what we grow.
Cultivating something at home is a liberating experience, you know, an act of liberation to grow a plant that you can eat at home, to be a part of that local food system, you know, and it could be one pot with a tomato, it could be a little plot, it could be a bunch of rows, whatever the size is, you know, it could be a little windowsill thing. But the act of growing food, I think, really transforms who you are. You know, when you nurture something, it's a reciprocal relationship. You're taking care of the food, the crops, and those crops are taking care of you, right? Like, those are the ancient teachings I've received, is like all these crops, all these amazing plants that we see, they're like our family, you know? They've been taking care of us for thousands of years, and we've been taking care of them.
Good morning, my name is Fidel Gonzalez. We are Los Jardines de Moctezuma Farm. We are preparing for sales for tomorrow for farmers market to provide local produce to the community. And we just wanted to express how much we think that all the work that César Chávez and Dolores Huerta have been so helpful for us, because thanks to them, we got to be totally independent as farm owners, not just as a farm workers, and also working on the field of no pesticides and no chemicals, to be sure that our community is going to be safe through what they eat. And also by doing that, we also support the economy of the state. Well, right here talking about New Mexico, where we're living, right? So there is so many ways that they have been contributing to the movement, and also for us to be able to create jobs through this. So by practicing agriculture, we serve the soil, the earth, we take care of it, we create jobs, we support local economy, and we keep the community healthy by local produce free of pesticides and chemicals.
My name is Marcelino Peralta. I'm I'm artisan, but now for coronavirus and Fidel let me help him, or also help to me to have a therapy with agriculture. It get for also to support my my economy, because my job was really key to coronavirus. And then no, just working here, which is I feel really good. It also let me eat really good foods, completely organic.
My name is Maria, and I collaborate here, volunteer with Fidel, and I work with Marcelino too. I work here because I've been doing this farm work for many years and make me feel alive. About César Chávez, I think two important things. The collaborations thanks to Dolores Huerta with him, and they opened their mind to collaborate with the other farm workers, not exclusive with the Mexicans, and that makes strong the movement. And when the owners of the grapes decided to move to Europe, he took a boat and contact the people in Europe to explain the movement, and managed to stop that the French buy the grapes. And they were surprised, the owners of the grapes in California. They were furious. But that was a very important thing, that Dolores Huerta and César Chávez worked together. Thank you.
Years ago, there was the grape boycott, and they were
really helpful in helping the farm workers, you know, to get better working conditions and better pay.
And that's kind of the history of the farm workers movement, in my opinion, is one, shedding light on the injustice, right? And coming together, organizing as a community to speak out against that injustice and to create tools and mechanisms to fight that, right? Like boycotts, for instance, you know, that was like a big, huge thing to force corporations to change their harsh policies, right? And practices. We were talking earlier about how amazing farm workers are. They are the heroes of our communities. They essentially put food on our table. They're out working in harsh conditions during a pandemic, during wildfires, right? Hardcore hours, starting super early, working super late, whatever it may be. And I think that's something we can just research and connect with, and then make choices that don't support those companies that are doing that, right? And organize to make substantial social change to where we are paying those people what they're worth, right?
We're struggling to get immigration reform. We got a lot of economic disparities in terms of, you know, people are not earning what they should be earning. Our minimum wage is way too low. And workers all over the country are having trouble because unions have not been given the opportunities to organize the way that they should be. So we have a lot of work to do.
What kind of messages are you hoping to, you know, pass down to these younger generations about César Chávez?
Well, we know that the March for Justice is not completed yet, and we've got to continue it, and we want the young people to stay involved. And we know we have a lot of challenges in our community.
So to continue the movement of Dolores Huerta and César Chávez, United Farm Workers, the Dolores Huerta Foundation, and you know all the people who are doing the work in this amazing momentum of human beings doing things in wiser ways and having consciousness, you know, doing things with intention.
And so we still need to continue to fight for what's right on the fields for farm workers, for farmers everywhere, and also for the consumer, because not only are farm workers affected by these pesticides, herbicides, and other chemicals used on the fields, the consumer is affected as well. So we need to continue to fight for what's right, to protect our health, to protect the health of the environment, and to sign petitions if needed, or even boycott certain products if needed. And together we can make this world a better place, and we can make our country a better place, more healthy and more environmentally friendly and more socially just.
That's what education's been for thousands of years, right? Learning from Mother Earth, learning from our elders, and fighting for justice, you know, and teaching the next generation that sometimes you do have to stand up, sometimes you do have to boycott, sometimes you do have to protest, because there are injustices and inequities in our world that are still happening, and we're still fighting to this day, you know. So I want Dolores to feel comfortable that we're going to take this, and also I want farm workers to know across the world that we appreciate them, we honor them, we pray for them, they are an integral part of our lives. Without them, you know, we wouldn't have the food to eat like we have it. And so, you know, I guess that could be one of the things I want to tell this audience and this, as we travel out in this video, is support farmers, support farm workers, and fight for justice, because the struggle is not over, you know. And it still hurts that we got people out in the fields not getting paid what they deserve, you know, not getting to eat the food that they grow, right? There's corporations still hoarding all the capital and the resources. And so I think for the future of our world and the sustainability of this planet we call Earth, we're going to need to cultivate consciousness, right? Like my mentor Lorenzo Candelario always says, the most important crop we grow is consciousness, is conciencia. And I think that's what's going to carry us on into the next couple hundred years, is getting back to earth, getting back to community, and getting back to service.